Good morning. My name is Dan Colgan, and I'm the organist and music guy here at Gloria Dei Lutheran Church in Olympia, Washington. Welcome to my devotions from the organ bench. Today is Saturday, August 8th, 2020. The hymn that I'd like to look at today is the sending hymn used in worship tomorrow, number 763, My Life Flows On, an Endless Song. The text and tune were written by Robert Lowry. Lowry lived from 1826 to 1899. He was born in Philadelphia and graduated from Lewisburg University, which is now Bucknell, and served churches in Pennsylvania and in New York City. He later went on to become a professor and university chancellor. In his lifetime, Lowry wrote 1,042 texts and tunes to hymns. It's important to understand the setting here while Lowry was serving in Brooklyn, specifically the history of that area at the time. The yellow fever had hit twice, both in 1854 and 1876. The bubonic plague was there from 1855 to 1860, and the typhoid fever epidemic was in place from 1861 to 1864. Brooklyn in particular was hit harder than some areas, the plagues described by some as, quote, sweeping through the city and draping many persons and dwellings in mourning. Yeah, our current epidemic today stinks, to be sure, but I definitely don't envy this guy either. Although he never specifically mentions the plague in relation to this hymn or in any of his hymns, to me, this influence seems certain. We have 3 of Lowry's hymns in our hymnal. This one, Shall We Gather at the River, and We're Marching to Zion. All of these definitely share this theme of hardship and the promise of everlasting life during an epidemic. Here's the text of My Life Flows On. My life flows on, an endless song, above earth's lamentation. I catch the sweet, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since Christ is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? And verse 2 reads, Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear that music ringing. It finds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? This text, written in first-person singular form, is almost somewhat ethereal in whose life is flowing on and where exactly they're going. The theology presents this imagery of this anonymous person joining in with the music of the spheres and to the song which transcends earth. This imagery is almost universal in its appeal, to the point where this hymn has been de-churchified, if you will, in a number of its uses, changing the line Christ is Lord to love is Lord, and the word hymn to the word song, for more general usage, probably in schools or perhaps in non-Christian places of worship. Our hymnal, of course, retains the original text, more or less. The Wikipedia entry for this hymn even goes so far as to call it, quote, an American folk song originally composed as a hymn. It was recorded by a few singer-songwriters, namely Pete Seeger and Arlo Guthrie, and also even Enya in 1991. So what is it about this text that's become a part of our American folk song repertoire? Personally, I think it's the message of hope. It's the message that we do not stand alone, and the comfort that this text gives that we're indeed part of something larger. Yes, in a folk setting that may be the spheres or the love of all humankind, but in our Christian setting here, it's also the fellowship of believers and the knowledge that we are indeed God's people, and this is God's world. Lastly, I want to mention that there are more or less 2 versions of the melody. The original, which is in 3/2 time, has a bit of a lilt to it, but is this sort of quiet flowing thing. There's also a metricized version in 4/4, and that's the version that we have in our hymnal. It's decidedly less flowy, but is definitely more jubilant and can be almost march-like. I'll play this through twice, first the original and then the version that we have printed. You can find an improvisation of this as the postlude used in worship tomorrow. I continue to marvel at and be thankful for these gems, created out of the hardships of our past, but guiding us in providing comforting reflections in and of our world today as well.